Hello, everybody. Welcome to Qobuz Live on Thursday. I'm David Solomon, and we have got a really fun show today. In fact, it's been a show that I've been waiting for maybe 3 or 4 months. Cookie Marenco is here with us from Blue Coast Records. Cookie is one of my absolute favorite recording engineers in the world and has been for decades. And we're just going to have a fantastic time with Cookie. Before we start, I'll tell you a little bit about Qobuz. We've got, let's see, I am messing this thing up. Okay, we've got over 60 million tracks. If you've been with us a while, you'll know that we started with about 40. So we've added about 20 million tracks since we started, which is a really big thing. It used to be you would tune into Qobuz and you knew that, oh gosh, there's going to be a few things missing. It's starting to get harder and harder to find things that are missing. We are absolutely catching up. And for those of you that have been with us over this time period, thank you very much. And the ones that are starting now or in the future will actually have a whole lot more to listen to. So over 60 million tracks, all in at least 1644 and above. So if you were to compare that, say, with a Spotify or one of those types of services, sort of the best of the MP3 services, those guys top out around 320 kilobits per second. We're topping out at over 9,500 kilobits per second. So it's a lot more resolution. And for those of you that don't think you can hear it, give us a try. We've got a 30-day free trial going on that you can hear any of our stuff in full resolution up to 24,192. And you will definitely be able to hear some of my favorite stuff that we've got on there. Some of this is a little bit personal, but it's just really great stuff. It didn't start out personal, my love affair with Blue Coast. It literally started off with, I cannot believe these recordings. I cannot believe how good they sound. So that's how my relationship with Cookie actually started. And we'll talk about that in just a little while. And she's got a lot. Even though Cookie's company does pretty much exclusive DSD, they've done high res. They've taken their collection and they've offered it to us in high res. And thank you very much for doing that. So all the way up to 24,192. Um, Let's see. We've got our plan starting at about $15 per month. If you pay it annually, you're looking at about $12.50 a month. That's putting us really close to the guys that are, much lower in resolution. So for just maybe a couple bucks more per month, you can get up to 24,192 as opposed to just an MP3 standard copy. We've also just opened up a family plan. So our family plan is $25 per month. And this is a really cool family plan. And I'll tell you why. Because most of your kids or the other people in your household that are not audiophiles, they don't know. They just don't know. And so frequently you'll say, well, hey, try out the Qobuz. It sounds a lot better than your Apple Music or Spotify or Pandora. And on first listen, most people, what they think is, well, I'm hearing the same notes, which you really do, right? You don't get the hard detail. But let's say on a family plan, because you are the one who really likes the highest quality music that you can play on your system, you get your family involved in high resolution, and then come back 6 months later and say, hey, let's do this comparison again. Now let's take your favorite thing, and hopefully it's recorded good, and listen to Spotify or your whatever service you're on compared to Qobuz. Now, once you have a few months with this thing, this is not a difficult task. First off, you're not on the spot. You know exactly what to listen for. And really, our big goal is to bring you as much music as we can in the highest resolution possible for the people that just really, really love music. They love every single thing about it, every detail about it, not just a main note, but the way things decay. It does make quite a difference, and I hope you will enjoy it or are enjoying it. Well, without further ado, I have got a very good friend that's about to join me, Miss Cookie Marenco. Cookie, how are you doing?
Hi, David. I'm fine. Thank you for having us on.
Are you kidding me? This is, you know, that this is a huge hoot for me. How long have we been talking about this, Cookie? It's like at least 6 months, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I would call Cookie and I would say, "Hey, Cookie, how's it looking? How's it looking in a month?" And she's going, "Oh, it's looking fine, no problem. Maybe the 15th of next month." And we did this several times. So we would get up to maybe a couple of weeks before the show, and Cookie would call me up. She's going, I just booked this gig that I gotta do, and I'm not going to be able to do that. Is that okay with you? She's always so sweet. And of course it is, Cookie. When no problem. So the next time comes around, she calls me up. She said, "David, I'm so sorry." Cookie, no problem. So this time it worked. And so, Cookie, gosh, thank you for joining us. I'm so happy to have you.
Oh, thank you.
So, I want everybody to know a little bit about you and what attracted me to you, or us to each other, really, because it was really all about your skill level. It really, we never had seen each other. Um, in fact, why don't you tell the story how we met, and then we can kind of get into a little bit of your background.
Well, my recollection was we were at a CES show, and I was given the opportunity to set up an entire room and surround through Sony to play our music. And it was just me and Gus Guinness for 4 days. And I think it was the last day, and Gus came in and said, "Hey, this guy, David Solomon, is playing your Tony Furtado music in his room." And well, it was Audio Quest, I think. David?
Peachtree, I think. No, it was before Audio Quest.
Peachtree. Right, that was Peachtree. And so I went up there and introduced myself and thanked you profusely. And then the next thing I knew, oh no, I know what it was. It was a guy from the Wall Street Journal came in to talk to me. And I said, "How did you hear about us?" He was the one that told me about you.
Right, right. Okay, and so I've got a little different recollection in that I'm sitting there, and it wasn't Tony Futuro, although that is on a huge, huge rotation for me because first off, I love the music and I love the artist, and I still cannot believe that is a 16-bit recording. There's not a lot of people that can do that. There's just not. So at any rate, it wasn't Tony. It was Keith Greenanger.
Oh, it was Keith.
It was Keith Greenanger, and is it Dylan?
Oh, Dan Kai.
Dan Kai. That's who was playing with Keith on that, Looking for a Home.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. So I knew what was going on in this recording because it touched me so much. Keith Green. In fact, this is on the Blue Coast sampler that you can find on Qobuz. And it's just kind of a light blue cover. And one of the songs in there is from Keith Greenanger, and it's called "Looking for a Home." And that song blew me away. First off, lyrically, it just gives you chills. I mean, it's just a beautiful song. But the production and the sound quality on this record, I can still hear it because I've done it so many times, because it's such a good representation of what a great recording engineer can do with the sound, which you put me in that room. I knew that and you and I've had this conversation. I knew that Keith was dead center in the middle, and I knew that that his accompaniment was in just to this side of him, behind him, and the way that you recorded the harmonies and the second guitar, it was like I was sitting there. I didn't need to have an imagination. I just needed a fairly good set of speakers that were set up correctly, and I was absolutely there. So you walked in the room and you said, "Who is David Solomon?" And I thought I had done something wrong, and I'm going, "Well, I'm David Solomon." And you said, "I'm Cookie Marenco." And at that point, I dropped what I was doing and I walked over and I gave you a big hug.
Yeah, well, and that's such a special recording. That time period was actually an experimentation with myself and Jean-Claude Renaud, who has a speaker company now that his father started, JMR, out of France. And we had decided that a lot of the passion had left the music. And how could we bring it back? And we were also interested in that kind of holographic sound, that dimensional sound. So we were at a studio where we set up the musicians so that they could play live in the room. And we set up a configuration of microphones in front of the musicians, and then also some close mics so that we could grab the harmonies and the guitars and really feel the presence there. So yeah, the SACD version, which is that was the first record we released. Actually, if you have access to a surround system, you can kind of get the idea of what extended sound environment, or ESE, is all about. And then after that, we just decided this is the way we always want to record, is live in the studio and capture the passion. So there's no overdubs. It's just live, mistakes and flaws and tears and crying and smiles. Everything is on the recording.
My favorite recordings are live recordings. There's just you can't. You're so right. You can hear the passion. You can hear the camaraderie. One of my favorite albums that this just shows on is an old one by Illinois Jacquet. It was released in 1957, and obviously it was all mono and it was all live, but these guys are just hitting off each other. It's a beautiful thing to listen to, and something that would be really, really hard to achieve. Although we do have great technology these days with overdubbing and doing collaborative works. Just having that sound being presented as a musician, you can almost tell when people are playing together. Or not almost, you can almost every time. You can tell when people are playing together and when they're playing a track. It's just not quite the emotion there. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about Cookie, though. And Cookie, please, hop in here if any of this is wrong. I know this is one lady that I have to take a crowbar to pry information out of her. She's one of the most humble people I've ever met, and we'll be having a conversation. And we were having a conversation, I don't know, 6 months ago or something. I'm going, "Oh, I was just listening to Tower of Power," and she's going, "Oh yeah, I know you're a drummer. I know you love David." I'm going, "Yeah." She goes, "Oh, I worked with him a lot." I'm going, "What? You are kidding me." Cookie and I have so many of these conversations where we're talking about an artist. And she goes, "Oh, well, yeah, I worked with this person." We had this conversation with the Tony Fitzgerald album because I said, I was talking to Cookie. So many of those albums back then, they didn't even have liner notes that gave credit to the engineers. So I had no idea you worked on that, but it was like one of my very favorite 16-bit recordings. It's called Tony Fitzgerald, and that's the name of the album as well. Pick it up. Pick it up. What am I saying? Pick it up. Hop on a Qobuz, hit Tony Fitzgerald, and then in his title album, and there's a song in there called Raleigh and Spencer, and I imagine these kettle drums is the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life, and I could not believe the attack and the decay and how big they sounded. And so I was talking to Cookie I guess it was maybe a few years ago, and I said, "Cookie, look, this is one of my favorite albums. wouldn't you like to be, you could probably do something like this. I mean, it sounds so big. Check this kettle drum out. So I put this on. She goes, David, I recorded that. You're kidding me. And so she introduces me to Tony, and I'm watching him. He's got a live show every Thursday that's so much fun. What an incredibly talented guy. But let me tell you just a little bit about Cookie. Cookie's been doing this for, believe it or not, over 40 years, and she's been innovative in this process the whole time she's been doing it. She's got 5 Grammy nominated records, 2 gold records. Blue Coast now has got over 50 records, which is, it's really big when you're dealing with when you're not dealing with a record label as we kind of know them on this side, where you got, 40 people working on the marketing and, 15 people working on the engineering, and just a lot of people. Cookie and Patrick pretty much do this themselves. I mean, you really don't have a lot of help doing this, right, Cookie?
Yeah. In fact, there's Patrick in the back, and over here, our newest member, Dennis. Hello. From Brazil.
Nice to have you, Dennis. And Patrick, always good seeing you. I just wish you would pipe down a little bit, because you're always talking way too much. You can hardly get Patrick to say a word. Cookie was also a producer at the famed Windham Hill Records. I was just listening to a couple of her recordings yesterday on Windham Hill. And once again, this was just something that ended up coming up in conversation when Cookie and I knew each other probably 4 or 5 years. I'm going, well, what did you think about the Windham Hill stuff? I really like that. She goes, Dave, I worked there. That was like, one of my first gigs. So this is a young lady that has been involved in high resolution about as long as anybody, period. You were into high resolution way before high resolution was cool.
Well, let me show you the back room. Those are all 2-inch tapes. And just behind there it is. That's a remote for the 2-inch machine. That really was where I started, was with analog tape. And because our proximity in the Silicon Valley, we were often a beta test site for a lot of the early digital recording devices.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah. They'd come over here and they'd say, what do you think? And I'd say, what's that sound? What's that noise?
It was a long time. I mean, it really was a long time. Every now and then you would be able to find a good digital recording, right? But really, for the most part, gosh, there was 25 years there that it wasn't hit or miss. Every now and then you would hit, right? You would get a Tony Faturo type of a recording, or a
those were all tape. Those were all analog tape.
Right. But I'm just saying, in that era, even then, it was you didn't find, like, if you wanted the kind of bottom end that you would find on the Tony Faturo that we're talking about, you would have had to go to something like Bella Fleck, The Flight of the Cosmic Hippo. It's got that kind of, that kind of bottom end that you feel as much as you hear. It's very tactile, but in those days, it was hard to get bass like that. That's my point. That you could find very few albums that had that clarity of bottom end. These days, hey, wow, it's a lot. It's a lot more. Oh, this is a friend of mine, classically trained lady that's on our Streaming Music Matters page, Jennifer Martin. A wonderful lady. I've just really enjoyed getting to be her friend. I was just listening to this one yesterday, actually. Cookie, did you do the Alex DeGrassi at Windham Hill?
I didn't do all of his recordings, but I recorded Deep at Night, which is on Qobuz. You can go listen. And also, Alex is a Blue Coast artist. We have an album of solo guitar on Blue Coast Records that's also on Qobuz. I think the album title is Shenandoah.
Fantastic. I was listening to that yesterday when I can't remember if you called or somebody else called, but I was listening to this record, which is an absolutely beautiful record. And I think it was you maybe that called, but I answered the phone, and then this music was playing, and if it wasn't, I don't think it was you, it was somebody else. And they said, wow, that's beautiful. I'm going, oh, sorry, let me turn it off real quick. No, just wait a minute. Let me listen to it. So at any rate, the whole point to that part of the discussion was Cookie's not some person that just hopped into this. She's been doing it for many, many years, and not only worked with Windham Hill, but also worked with Verve, Rounder, Island Records. Let's see, you worked with Liquid Audio as well. There's most people probably don't remember who Liquid Audio is.
Do you remember Liquid Audio, David?
Honestly, Cookie, I wasn't into MP3 at all until I think David Hyman, when he opened up Mog. That was the first time, honestly, that I did MP3, and really it was just to learn about streaming.
Yeah.
I still wasn't really into it.
Yeah.
And even on like the iPods and stuff, when everybody was putting 1,000 songs on their iPods, I was one of the first guys that figured out you didn't have to do these in MP3. So I would take my iPods and I would record 1644 onto them, and people just didn't even know you could do that. But I very rarely. So no, I didn't remember it, but I do remember about you and I talking about it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Liquid Audio and its founder, Jerry Kirby, was the first MP3 download service. And I came in 1997, and we recorded, it was at UCLA, a remote recording to 1,000 people, uploaded to the internet, and made available worldwide within an hour. So before the audience left, that music was available for sale within an hour. Now, in 1997, that was unheard of.
Right.
And it predated Napster. So it was actually a legitimate paid service. But, when something's illegal, it gets more attention. So Napster got more attention. It also happened that Jerry brought the world the first digital audio workstation on the Macintosh, predating Avid, then DigiDesign. And that's how I got to know Jerry, was beta testing on the early digital audio workstations. It was called Diaxis, later bought out by Studer, which is how I got to know Andreas Koch and Gus Guinness and a lot of other folks, was back in the 80s working on that. So Liquid Audio, when they came with the dream of this MP3, we were thinking, what a great promotional tool. We didn't really think that MP3 was going to become what it is today.
I didn't even really understood it when it came out. I mean, it was the MP3 is brilliant, no matter how you slice it. It's totally brilliant. But I didn't really understand it, and I just didn't have an interest in it, right? So I really got into MP3 really after I'd opened up Peachtree, because I knew it was just streaming in itself was going to become a thing. I forced myself to stream the first time. I didn't want to do it, and I'll never forget doing it. I was just down the street at the Kroger, and I thought, I better plug some headphones. This is when the iPhone still had a headphone hole. Let me plug a set of headphones in this headphone hole, and while I'm shopping, I'm gonna listen to music. And I still remember the first thing I listened to which was Paul Simon. I pulled up One Trick Pony, and I got to tell you, I had a good time. It opened up a whole world to me, right?
Yeah.
But now all of the planets are lining up so beautifully, right? I mean, and now we can not only have the convenience, but now we can have it sound, like we want it to sound, or like we want it to sound. Some notable people that Cookie has worked with, Max Roach, Charlie Hayden, Levon Helm. Oh, I miss him. You always told me you love drummers. That makes me feel great about you. Christian McBride, Dan, our managing director, who, by the way, is producing this today. Thank you very much, Dan. He's going to be he's going to be doing a panel with Christian McBride in just a couple of weeks, you'll have to tune into Qobuz and check it out. But she's worked with Christian McBride, the Monterey Jazz Festival, Mark Isham, Times of Harvey Milk soundtrack. Let's see, Kevin Kern, Ladysmith, Black Mambazo, Brad Melody. I mean, it's like so many people have worked with you.
Yeah, it's been, well, thank you. You know, I think it's over 500 albums. I stopped counting and I don't remember the names. But I have some great memories of all those sessions and people I had an opportunity to work with. And also bringing along some of the artists like Jenna, who actually was one of the artists that helped test out some of the early liquid audio devices or gear.
I didn't even realize. I'd say you guys have known each other that long. I didn't realize you had known each other that long.
Yeah, we did. We've been recording together over 20 years now.
Wow, that's amazing. We just got to meet a couple of years ago, and had such a good time. Jenna has just turned into a friend. But most of the people that you've introduced me to, we've just kind of become friends. You're that kind of a person. We've actually got a few of your artists that are going to be joining us today, and just I think in about 5 or 6 minutes, we're going to go ahead and start bringing in a few guests that we've got scheduled for you, which I am very excited about that. But what did I miss? Tell me in your background, what did I miss that we should know? By the way, this is your studio that you're in right now, and this is I love your board. What kind of board are you using?
It's an older sound workshop, it was called. I got this from Pat Gleason, who actually used to be the synthesizer player for Herbie Hancock. He was also a tremendous soundtrack composer and still is. When he left to go to Los Angeles, he was selling his board, and I could tell you stories about this console just swinging through the air as we had to lift it with a crane to get over the fence.
You told me about that. That's hilarious. So Cookie, you've been doing high resolution audio for about as long as anybody else out there. I mean, you've certainly got about as much experience as anybody out there, and just make absolute beautiful recordings. What was your first high res recording?
Well, I would say the first real opportunities was the Blue Coast Collection 1. We started that project in about 2001, between 2001 and 2002. Jean-Claude and I had founded this company. It didn't have a name yet, but we really wanted to focus on high end. So we did a lot of testing, and we compared the highest end PCM with, at that time, what was the Sonoma 1-bit DSD system. Gus Skinnis brought it out, and we love Gus. Gus has been working with Sony for decades and has always managed to include us in whatever he's doing. So Gus brought out the Sonoma system, and so that first Blue Coast Collection 1 and a number of the other following records were recorded to DSD and tape simultaneously. And then there was a point when, as DSD 64 1-bit was accepted, people wanted more and even higher sampling rates, DSD 128 and then DSD 256. And it was David Robinson of Positive Feedback who said, Cookie, you need to go to DSD 256. And I said, no, please. He sent me his device, the Pyramix. And we eventually just said, all right, you win, we're buying it from you.
David and I were just talking about this a couple of weeks ago, and you came up, this whole story came up with David as well.
Yeah. And it, it really changed things for us, the way we think about recording. We have certain limitations, and I still work on tape. But for the most part, all of our original recordings go to either DSD or tape. And at that point, we might mix down. Well, we do mix down to DSD. And occasionally we'll get projects in that are on PCM, either 96, 24, or 192, whatever it is. And we might mix analog, which is something I prefer than mixing in the box. So that's one thing I think that really distinguishes any of our mixes, is that I mix through the console with all my old gear, like the Lexicon 224 XL, which is just irreplaceable. And some of the other devices, all analog from a long time ago, when to my ears, the sound is just not compromised the way it sometimes gets in a box.
Yeah, I totally get that. First off, you're doing it and you can actually hear what you're doing. I mean, you can't deny the product once it's out there. So I don't care what you do. I don't care if you stand up on, 3 toes, have your tongue out, and you're using all digital stuff, or if you're sitting down at a console and just mixing it like you used to. It doesn't matter to me, because all of your recordings, all of them, are beautiful. They're all, it's the part of art. It's the art of the album, or part of the art of the album that people don't really take note of. If you've done, I guess, the best job in the world, people don't ever notice you. If you've done a horrible job, they'll notice you every time, right?
Yeah, well, and it's interesting too. Some people, when they hear a lot of Blue Coast records, they say, "Don't you have something bigger sound?" And really, that's not what Blue Coast Records is about. Blue Coast Records for me is about choosing the musicians who can play live in the studio without headphones, no overdubs. It's everything that is them. And Jenna's heard me say this a number of times. Make me cry. That's what I say. It's just, I don't have to say anything else. Tell me the story, make me cry. And that's really what Blue Coast Records and the recordings are about. And it's as small and simple as they are, they're actually some of the most difficult recordings when you consider phase issues and sonic things that happen in the room. It's a lot easier to put everybody in an individual isolated room, do overdubs to your heart's content, spend 2 years on an album. And at that point, sometimes for me, the magic is gone. But I still record that way. And I enjoy the camaraderie in the studio, which I think is what the musicians are missing now, is just being able to get into the studio, be together and play. That part we all miss.
Totally agree with you. We've actually got, I'm going to start bringing on some guests that we've invited here, some of the people that you're recording. Dan, I want you to get ready to pull up Eamonn's new album. The first person we're going to bring on is Eamonn Flynn, who's going to be a new Blue Coast artist. Is that correct? Because you don't have anything from him on Blue Coast now, correct?
Well, we have a number of albums. We haven't yet gotten to Qobuz, but we will soon. He's actually got one album up already, but this is his second album with us. And I've known Eamonn as a session player and as a producer for a long time, having worked with him in the studio, bringing him in as a keyboardist or him producing somebody else's session, and I might be engineering. This is a very special album. It's solo piano of Irish songs, and Eamonn is from Ireland, and it's just a beautiful recording.
Let's bring Eamonn on, huh?
Hey,
Eamonn, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
I want everybody to know that Eamonn, he's interrupting a live studio session he's got right now just to be with us. So we really appreciate it. That's why we wanted to bring you on first, so that you could get back to tickling the ivories.
Absolutely. And listen, Paul McCartney said he's fine. He can wait. So, no worries. I'm glad to be here. I was enjoying your conversation. I just heard the last
You know,
5
Cookie
minutes.
and I, we do this like when we're just by ourselves, we will get together and it is just a party every single time. She'll always come up with some weird story that, you know, only Cookie could have,
Has
or
she played the
some.
accordion yet?
What's
Uh-oh.
that?
Oh no!
That's going to be a surprise. We're going to definitely do that. But we understood that you were going to have one as well, and you guys were going to like do a little jam, a little back and forth,
Yeah, that's the
a
next
little
album
call
now.
and answer.
Tongue response accordion now. Hell, it's called.
I'm going to hop back on my drums, and we're all going to get this going all at one time. Pay no attention to the delay that we're hearing. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, Eamonn, which is going to be something that I ask all of the Blue Coast artists that we're going to have today, and I know that we're here with Cookie, but what do you think of the recordings? Why do you want Cookie to record your stuff?
Well, yeah. So I was listening to your conversation, and you were using a lot of technical terms that are a little bit above my pay grade. I know when something sounds good, like 256 DSD and all that stuff. But what you actually touched on was like recording without headphones, where it's just there's less in between me and the listener. You know, in some ways, a lot of traditional recording. When I say traditional, you know, multi-tracking and everybody in isolation booths, and you make sure you don't get any bleed. It's a very artificial process. I love it. It's great, but it's got limitations, and you're trying to artificially make something sound like it actually sounds like live. Whereas, how about just playing live and recording it? Like, it seems quite simple, but it's really fun to do. It's nerve-wracking. You can't make any mistakes. Like, you can't repair your mistakes. You can't punch in on bar 5 and fly in something you missed, you know, but it's fun to do. It's really fun, and it sounds great. Cookie gets a great sound, and I'm in love with Cookie's piano, which is a 85 Steinway, and I love the sound of that piano.
You talk about Cookies.
Yeah,
that's been on a couple of recordings, hasn't it, Cookie?
Hundreds of recordings. Oh my God. People have flown around the world to play on that instrument. I had a guy, you know, similar to my situation with meeting you, David, who came in and he saw an album on my wall and he said, "Oh, I love that piano sound. That's the piano sound I want." I said, "Well, there it is right up there. Go play it."
That's fantastic. Hey, Dan, bring up Eamonn's album again, if you would, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Macca, for producing for us. So this isn't even out yet, right, guys?
correct.
It's available on bluecoastmusic.com as of yesterday.
Oh, as of yesterday. Fantastic. Yeah, if you guys go to Blue Coast Records, is it bluecoastrecords.com?
Well, this will be bluecoastmusic.com. We're building a new
bluecoastmusic.com.
right.
You can go and if you know me, if you've sat through any of these live streams, you know I'm huge into supporting the artists any way that you possibly can. I always advocate buying their albums or their downloads or their T-shirts or whatever the heck they're doing, because you know they're having a real tough time in it. So please be sure to visit Blue Coast Music, and you can help support Cookie and the artist that she's with, because the artist that Cookie's with. Cookie's a little different than most labels, in that most labels, the only thing they see are either dollar signs or no dollar signs. If they see dollar signs, then you're in. If they see no dollar signs, you're not in. Cookie's got much more of a family atmosphere about the way she runs things. Do you feel the same way, Eamonn?
I do. I absolutely do. It's fun. And the other thing I'd like to mention about the experience of recording at Cookie's place is that there's a family of, well, I don't know if they're a family, but deer always come by to check out the music.
Who does?
Recording. You're looking at you're up in the Belmont Hills, like overlooking the valley, and like there's a family of deer checking out
deer.
So that's when you know you got the right groove. When the deer seem happy, you know you're okay. You know, if the deer aren't coming around, it's not quite there yet. So
That's my new production trick.
I can't believe it, but I'm still yet to go to the studio. We've been planning this for about a decade. I'm going, I've got to make it up there. I want to sit at your feet. I'm a recording engineer my whole life, but there's a difference between being able to turn the knobs and knowing what they do and being able to make magic with those knobs. So that's why I would love to, sit at Cookie's feet for as long as I possibly could, weeks if I could. And I'm just dying to get there to see where the magic happens.
You got to do it.
Yeah, man. So we're looking forward to your album. What anything you want to say about?
I'm really excited about this album because it's something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I've talked to Cookie about it on and off, and she encouraged me to do it. It's Irish music. There's a few original tunes, but a lot of them are really old Irish tunes going back to the 14th, 15th century that they're embedded in my consciousness, and I just wanted to put them down and play them on a beautiful piano and record them. And I think Cookie did a great job of making Cookie and Patrick actually at the studio did a great job of making everything sound really nice. I'm really happy with it.
I mean, that's a great story. There's nothing like music being in your heart before you put it on. Yep. Put it on tape or put it on a recording. So I really appreciate you saying that. It's I think that's kind of just the way most of Cookie's artists are. That's the way I hear them all talking, which to me is a beautiful thing. Cookie, you do realize we're never going to finish this all in an hour, right?
That's my trick.
Yeah.
You have to bring people on again.
So I know that, Eamonn, you've got to get to your recording session, but I want to tell you, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody, Eamonn Flynn, please look for his record on Blue Coast, and in a very short period of time, check back with us at Qobuz, and I'm very much looking forward to listening to it myself.
David, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Oh, play me out, Cookie.
For you, Eamonn. Bye.
See you guys.
Take care, buddy. Cookie. So did you have a good time recording this record?
Oh, we had a great time. And the thing about the deer is funny because there have been just, like a dozen of them outside. And there was a point where we went through the entire program, the album, and I said, hey, let's go outside for a minute. And we spent a little time with the deer. And then I said, hey, Eamonn, why don't you play the album again? And so he did take 2 of everything. And the second takes were amazing after he, shared a little something with the deer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we've also got another one of your artists that we're going to bring up, and I had the pleasure of not meeting. I've yet to meet her up until just today when we met a little while ago. We're friends on Facebook, I think, and basically I think it's just because you and I are friends on Facebook. She probably knew I wasn't, some creepo if I were if you were my friend. So she friended me, and I got to listen to some of her stuff. It's Fiona Joy Hawkins is going to be joining us. Hello, Fiona.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm really great. This is so exciting to be beaming in from Australia.
So Fiona has got some albums with Cookie as well, which I haven't even asked Cookie this because I kind of figured you guys would talk about it, but you're in Australia. Cookie's on the opposite end of the world, exactly, I think, polar opposite end of the world. So who had the shovel? How did you guys meet?
I think it was Gus Skinner said, you've got to meet Cookie Marenco, because he'd authored one of my audiophile albums earlier, and he said, if you're interested in getting into this world, you have to meet Cookie Marenco. So I went to the studio and I got to play a couple of tracks, and I think we're up to four albums now, Cookie.
Yes, 3 solo piano, and the new one that's not yet on Qobuz but will be is piano and violin. Fiona was the Jessica Daniel. It's just amazing.
Oh,
Amazing
gosh.
sound.
So I got to see Fiona does a live stream from time to time. And although I don't get to see all of them, I got to see you with a friend of yours. She had an amazing voice.
Yeah, okay, that would have been Rose Wilson.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I love to do the live streams with other artists. You know, I've done them with quite a number of artists, and it's a lot of fun. It's great.
If you've never heard Fiona, she has got an absolute hauntingly beautiful voice. She's fantastic pianist, and obviously her recordings are as like everything else Cookie does, second to none. But really have enjoyed your music, Fiona.
Thank you. And that's the exciting thing about recording with Cookie, is that you bring that kind of live performance energy to the recording, because, you know, you get to do things in a single take, and it really does feel like you're just sort of playing live. And I love that. It's great.
And I wanted to mention that all of the artists have their own labels, that they record bigger ensembles, and they, you know, a little more arranged with overdubs and incredible musicians. And Fiona's own label, Little Hartley Music, has just got some extraordinary talent. I mean, Tony Levin's on some of her records. Will Ackerman produces, my old boss at Windham Hill, and just amazing recordings. And so those are also available on Blue Coast Music, and they're probably on Qobuz also. But I wanted to mention that because it is very different. In fact, when Gus brought me your early albums, Fiona, I was listening, I'm thinking, why isn't she doing a solo piano record?
Yeah, you talked me into doing it, because I had not done one before. And it was Cookie that said, you know, come on, let's do a solo piano album. And then I just I did 3 of them, and I had such a great time. And yeah, it's been an amazing career direction, not just going solo piano, but also, you know, the high res world, because it's something I'm particularly interested in, and something that Cookie just does so well. And the piano, what is it,
1885.
Oh, that's what you recorded with as well.
Yeah, and it's got 85 notes, and my piano at home's got 97. So it's always a really funny moment.
85, not 88.
No, Cookie's has got 85, yeah, and mine's got 97. So I've gone from one extreme to the other. So sometimes I'll be playing something, and I'll get to the top, and I'll think, oh, hang on a minute, I'm running out of notes. So I have to kind of think on the spot, you know, where am I going to go now? What am I going to do? But
I'm sorry.
It's such a lovely piano. That Steinway is just beautiful, and the record, I think that's, you know, part of why the recordings are so great. Plus, Cookie brings out the best in you. You know, that wanting to make her cry actually allows you to really lose yourself in the music and do your best performance.
Well,
I do a lot of crying here.
There's a lot of crying, yeah.
Crying goes on.
Yeah, we cry, we laugh, and then we cry again. Yeah,
that's okay. You know,
yeah.
it's emotion, isn't it? I mean, that's what I wanna feel when I'm listening to music. When it's music that is supposed to make you feel something, I feel robbed if I don't feel something. So I totally get that, and I appreciate where you're coming from. Most everyone that I've spoken with at Cookie's recording has got that same kind of a thought about Cookie. They all say it. It's amazing. I don't know. I think, does she pay you guys to say it's really nice stuff? It's like there are dollars involved here, or?
No. I was just going to say, unless you actually go where the music came from, you don't tell the story. But when you do go there, you take the audience with you, and it's a sign of a very good producer that allows you to enter that space and not feel nervous, you know, but just to be able to enter that space and to encourage you to be more dramatic or more. I mean, her suggestions are always, you know, what brings your song brings it out the best.
Right. Well, we've got, hey, Dan, can you bring up Fiona's album? I only put I just wanted to give at least a sample of what you guys were doing. So instead of putting your whole discography up there, I threw at least one on there. Dan, you can leave it up there for a little longer than that if you want to. But so when did you record? This was your latest album, right?
No, that was Into the Mist.
Oh, Into the Mist, right?
Right. That was the second album. Yeah. And it's won so many awards. I don't even remember them all. But one day, Fiona, we're going to have to put all the awards down that you've won for this and all your albums, really. Fiona's more of we don't really call her new age as much as contemporary classical. She's sort of entering a new genre. She's building her own genre.
Yeah, Fiona Joy, genre Fiona Joy. It's just piano, but I guess I come from a classical background, and and inspired by that whole Windham Hill aesthetic, and
Well, if you think that recording a piano is easy, you're wrong. It's not. It takes a lot of skill to record a piano, so that you not only hear the notes, but you hear a felt hammer hitting a metal string inside of a wooden box. I mean, those things, those are things that I listen for when I'm listening to a piano recording. And obviously, Cookie, I guess since the Windham Hill days, you've been doing some pretty amazing things with piano.
It helps that I was a piano player, I think, before. I don't really play anymore, but the piano means a lot to me. So, I maybe take extra special care in the recording of a piano, and also understanding what a piano player is going through when they have to play. I can, it's such an unusual instrument that it's a compromise from top to bottom. Every piano is different. It's not like you can bring your own guitar to a session. I mean, maybe 10 people in the world can do that. But every time you play a different instrument, you've got to develop a different skill. And so I know how hard it is for a piano player to do that.
And Cookie tunes the piano as well. That's pretty impressive.
Well, you know what? Things like that drive people like us totally crazy. It's got to be right, or that's all you hear. It's very similar to, and Cookie, I've never asked you this before, but I'm guessing that you feel exactly the same way. I cannot walk into a venue if it's not mixed right. It literally drives me crazy the whole time I'm there. And you know how it gets, like with the live stuff, it eventually sometimes makes it. It's like if there's a hump somewhere or a dip in a frequency, it just absolutely drives me crazy. So I get that with Cookie. She is a bit of a perfectionist, but thank goodness, right? That's what gives us these wonderful recordings.
Yes.
Yeah. So be sure to listen to some of Fiona's albums on Qobuz, and then if possible, stop by Blue Coast and buy some of her records if you love them. Once again, we really, really love to support artists any way we can at Qobuz, and we know that streaming doesn't pay the bill, so we all need to figure out where our cheese has been moved, basically. And so we do want we do want to be able to support you. So thank you so much. I didn't even mention this, but Fiona's in Australia right now, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what time is it now for you?
Well, we're stuck at the moment. There's no touring, and there's can't go anywhere, but I'm so looking forward to getting back and recording more with Cookie. I'm writing. That's the good news, Cookie. I am writing.
There are some good things that have happened during the pandemic. I know that we're getting a lot of work done. Cookie, I guess you're probably getting some projects done that have been, you've been waiting on to get done, like getting on the show with me.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Well, Fiona, I know it's quite early there in the morning for you. Fiona was here with us, and I think when she tuned in, it was 6:45 a.m. her time in the morning, right?
For a musician, that's really early.
That's like
Anyway.
that's brutal for a non-musician. That's like brutal. Unless you're my wife, she gets up at 4 o'clock every morning, which I don't even understand that. I don't even know you. So thank you so much for joining us, and we
Dave.
absolutely wish you the very best in your new albums, and hey, keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. See ya.
Bye, Fiona.
Well, she is absolutely lovely with her playing piano in her. I think she said she was like a music teacher at an elementary school or something. Did you see the live stream that she did a couple of weeks ago? You would not believe this lady's voice. I mean, I was not. She looks like a kindergarten teacher. I figured she was going to sound like a kindergarten teacher, but man, she opened her mouth, and it's like I'm just sitting there going, "Are you kidding me?" And them together with the vocal, and then Fiona on the piano was just fantastic. We've actually got another very special person that I did get to meet and spend some time with. I think it was wasn't it at the Florida show that we met? I can't remember. Jenna will remember though. We are going to bring on Miss Jenna Mamina. How are you doing, Jenna?
I'm great. How are you?
Jenna does a ton of live stream stuff, and this lady has got a voice that you just wouldn't believe. When Cookie says "make me cry," I always think of Jenna. I think of two of your artists, really. I think of Jenna and Megan. But both of those give me, when I listen to your albums, I get my favorite response, which is I get goosebumps.
Thank you. I cry.
We all cry.
We cry. We go in there and we just cry. John cries. I cry. Matt cries. We all cry.
We're all crying.
You know who doesn't cry? I'm guessing Patrick doesn't cry. I'm just guessing.
No, that's not true.
Yeah.
Oh.
I've seen Patrick cry.
He was
I want to see that.
No, I have never seen Patrick cry.
I have.
Well, yeah, but that's because you hit him.
No.
Here, say that again, Patrick.
When I cry, it means that's the take.
Very good. Hey, listen, got to have a reference point.
Yep.
Dan,
I was crying. Remember when we did the thing with Alex? I cried.
Oh yeah, but that was because Prince died that day.
No, but I was crying during a song.
Oh my God. You know what? I think I had to come out and talk. It was a live radio broadcast. It was actually at Skywalker, and it was the first live streaming DSD recording. Or not recording, but live broadcast in DSD. And it was Jenna and Alex. And Jenna was crying, and she starts flagging me in. And I had to make something up because she wasn't going to make it to the next song.
Because I couldn't tell anybody either, remember? You said, don't. I walked in, I'm like, you guys are like, what? I'm like, Prince died. They're like, what? Don't say anything about that on the radio, on the recording. And I'm like, okay, down. It's trying to sing, yeah. But I've cried many times in the studio with Cookie.
Yeah.
Made me cry.
She'll cry. Well, those are the takes I use.
I might cry right now
when she's singing. You're gonna make me cry. That's just a little sweat on a hot day, Jenna. But no, I hear it. I listen back to the songs, and I can hear it. Like I'm thinking, yeah, she was crying on this one. You can tell in her voice, and those are the ones. And sometimes an artist will get a little bit what's the word? Shy about letting me put something out that they're crying. But Jenna lets me put these out. I mean, there's just a sensitivity that comes out in her voice that you just, oh man, it just
I let her put out a nose whistle, David.
Oh, the nose whistle.
I wasn't even going to bring that up. That is like one of my favorite stories ever. So, okay. Cookie does high resolution stuff. We all know this, right? So tell us about this nose whistle thing, because you told me this. Where did we meet? It wasn't at the Florida show. Where was it? Was it California show?
Oakland.
Okay. I can't. They all, we were doing so many shows. They literally just start running together. And I don't know why I was thinking that you would have been in Florida when you lived in
I haven't done Florida. We've done, well, I've met Dan. I met Dan in New York.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Were we all together?
No, Dan was representing, I say Qobuz. I say Qobuz. We met Rolf and I, as Cookie said, I have a label called Mama Grace Records, and I'm on a label with the guitarist by the name of Rolf Sturm, who is also recorded for Cookie, Water Street Music, and we were representing our record at a conference in New York in last January, and I met Dan. But the nose, do you want to know about the nose?
I do want to know about the nose, because it's just kind of a funny story. Is it?
Well, we don't overdub anything, first of all. We just go in and do it. And this was my first record, and it was back in 2000. It was right before 11/11. And I was, the first record, I would hear my mouth pop, or like, some little, and I'm like, Cookie, what's that noise? And she's like, that's your mouth. I go, I don't like that. And she said, it's just like how a guitar player has, their fingers on the strings, or a saxophone, and you hear the keys. I'm like, yeah, but I don't like that smack. But on the second record, I was living in this house in San Francisco, and I could turn the music up really loud. And she was just starting to mix the record. And so I was listening to it, and I kept hearing this on a song with piano, Matt Rawlings and James Genus on bass, and me and nobody else. And I call him like, Cookie, and it's only my second record. Cookie, there's this whistle going on. I don't know what it is. And she calls back. She goes, okay, let me figure it out. I'm going to solo. So she sits there. She goes, I'm going to solo Matt. She solos Matt. No. Because James Genus, when he's playing bass, sometimes he sings. And sometimes people make noise. And she says, oh, well, it's got to be James, though. She solos James, not James. She solos me. She calls me back. She goes, well, I figured it out. And I go, what is it? She goes, it's your nose.
Yeah.
I've got to know, because I can't remember if we ever even got this far, because I think at that point in the story I was cracking up, because the way you kind of told it, it was like the way you told it to me was, or at least the way I remember it was, I was complaining about this whistle that was going on, because that's unlike Cookie to have extraneous noises in her recording. And so when you said finally, well, it was your nose, that's when it's like, because I was thinking it was like a capstan or something mechanical, right?
Hoping.
So I was not expecting the analog nose.
Yeah.
And there's also another one that I think is on Blue Coast, that you hear my throat gurgle. And I listen and I hear this gurgle, like right at the beginning of it. Gurgle.
Yeah, you probably hear it a lot more than other people, because to me, stuff like that just makes it real. I was talking to a friend of mine who had recorded some Earth, Wind, and Fire, and he was telling me, he goes, David, I can't stand it when people use metronomes or click tracks when they're recording, because it takes just takes something away. And I'm going, well, that's just kind of the way it is, especially if you're doing, multiple tracks in different spots and things. You almost kind of need something like that. He goes, do you know how many Earth, Wind, and Fire tracks start off at 108 BPM and end up at 111? And I'd never even considered it. He goes, lots. he said it's just something that makes it real. So those little real things I appreciate, but I do have to ask you the question, and I can't believe I didn't ask this when you told the story first time, Jenna. Did you guys keep the recording or did you re-record it?
Oh, it's there.
It's there.
It's there.
Oh, and it's not the only one. I just don't say anything.
Oh, sometimes
No.
I made a record once. I wore a Breathe Right strip during the recording.
Oh my God, that is
But
so
yeah, they're there.
funny. You are kidding me. My wife, she just started wearing those because she's just got a little cute snore, but it's enough to, like, you know, it's not cute at 3 o'clock in the morning, even though it's
But she gets up at 4, so you only have an hour of that to hear, right?
yeah. But at any rate, I totally get. I like the real stuff and appreciate you guys, you know, keeping it real like that. So Jenna, I was listening to a couple of your albums last night, and I was listening to one that really just it got me, and it's probably not your favorite one, but I really like it a lot. It's the one with a lot of the covers on there with the James Taylor cover. It's the Purple album. I can't remember what the name of it
What
is.
is the influence?
Oh, Moonlight Ladies?
You mean what else is on it? I sing a James Taylor song on almost every one of my records.
That's true.
Oh, now I'm totally embarrassed. I know the record color was like a purple.
Under the is it like, well, are there purple?
Totally mellow.
Jen, I think it might be Moonlight Ladies because that's a darker cover.
I'll tell
And
you.
there's remember, because Moonlight Ladies is
Moonlight.
yeah. And all the ones.
Yeah, it's Moonlight Ladies. That's what it is.
It's
Yeah,
my
no, it's Moonlight Ladies. It's yeah, you did the Free Man in Paris,
Oh yeah, okay.
which was cool. But you did my favorite James Taylor song, which is Shower of the People.
Oh, yeah.
Which is my definitely my favorite James Taylor song, period. That one, I won't admit it to many people, but that one makes me cry. That's the one that just, you know, gets me there. So I was listening to that album. I thought but your new one is really, really beautiful. And I just love that as well.
Thank you. I'm pretty excited about it.
So we have already gone way over. I cannot believe that this time has been so quick. So tell me something about you guys that nobody knows. That's a big secret that'll be fun for everybody to know.
Ooh, I think everybody knows just about everything.
Everything. I'm online a lot, so everybody knows everything about me.
Yeah.
Yeah, check out Jenna's live, her live stream. She does them all the time. I mean, I'm on them all the time, and they're just fantastic.
Thank you. It's on at 11:11 a.m. and 11:11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I have different shows. But tonight, Thursday nights, is Corona Roki. And it's Corona Roki International Limited, and I'm plugging it right this second because another Blue Coast artist is going to be a guest tonight, and that's Derek Jones.
Oh, Derek!
Hey.
Derek is an awesome bass player. Cookie introduced us. Is it okay if I bring Fiona back on?
Yeah.
No,
She's just sitting there, and I'm going, you know what?
One of these nights.
Yeah, it's like we need to. Well, why are we just doing this and having Fiona not come on? Welcome back. How are you?
Hi.
So I'm trying to.
I'm trying to think, the three of us have hung out in the studio together. That we don't really have any secrets, I don't think. Because we cry. We laugh more than we cry, but we definitely cry.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have any like really, really salty secrets, then we'll just kind of drop that right there. I personally think that you're just not sharing, but that's okay.
I have a secret.
Okay.
Do you know who's a
do tell?
Do you know who's a really great accordion player?
Yeah, I do.
What is that sound in the background?
But Cookie, it's not just the accordion you play. So I did not know until yesterday that you play the oboe. Are you kidding me? You play the oboe?
Oh yeah, Paul McCandless has been using my English horn for about 35 years. He's in the band Oregon, if you remember those guys.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And the sitar, which actually I
I
love.
was going to bring that up. The sitar. Are you kidding me?
North Indian classical music. Oh my God, I love it. I studied the sitar pretty seriously for about 3 years and had the opportunity to record Zakir Hussain and a number of other people. Well, those stories could go on, so I won't start, but
You'll have to come back and we'll have to do some of that, Cookie, because that's the most fun that I have with Cookie is when she said, "Oh, did I ever tell you about that time?" That's sort of like, the redneck equivalent of, "Hey, watch this." but she always comes up with this really, really cool stuff. Dan had to leave. So we are, at this point, we're flying on our own. We don't have a producer. So, oh my gosh.
Oh no, what are we going to do now?
What are we going to do now? Oh no, now we're going to start.
Yeah, I'm in my studio, David, so I have everything going on right here.
Jenna's like just waiting for the producer to go away so she could bring out her tequila.
But it's blue.
Okay. Oh, God, it looks it does look a bit blue, but it looks more empty than it looks blue.
No, it's not.
I think it's.
This is.
Okay.
Corona Roki. We do that for Corona Roki, which you are welcome. So, David, I'm also a lover of drummers, and you play drums, correct?
Yes.
So you could be on Corona Roki sometime. You too could be recorded on Blue Coast Records.
Just let me know, because I want to see the places more than I want to be recorded there. There are good drummers and they're great drummers. I'm not in the great drummer category, but I have as much fun as anybody that's ever hit drums. So that's why I still do it. I just love it. I've been playing my whole life. So, but I did not know you played sitar, and I did not know that you, Fiona, you said you had Tony Levin on your recordings.
Yeah, I've got
That's
to
my
work
favorite bass player in the world.
and a really nice guy too. Really, like he's about 6'4".
Yeah,
really
yeah.
tall. But yeah, super nice.
Was he playing the bass or was he playing the Chapman stick?
I've had him play both actually, just depending on the track and what it called for. But yeah, he's amazing musician. Single take,
Oh yeah. I can't imagine. I mean, when he's playing with Robert Fripp doing 75 changes per song, I would think that he's 4/4 stuff for Tony would be like standing on his ear. I'm guessing for Derek as well. Derek is like that kind of a bass player too, right?
Derek's incredible.
Derek's great.
Yeah, and he's got a new album out on Blue Coast.
Yeah, he has 2 albums out, and we have one up at Qobuz and getting ready to put the second album up. Jenna sings on a lot of both the albums, and those recordings I can't even begin to tell you how much fun they are. In fact, Jenna's got some, maybe those are the dirty little secrets. She's actually got video of us in the control room making fun of ourselves as we're listening back in tears, laughing.
Who was on the session?
Right. Well, Brian Mentia. Do you know Brain, David?
I don't.
He was the drummer in Primus. He played 10 years with Guns N' Roses.
No, yeah.
Toured with Tom Waits, and he's also Blue Coast. He's our drummer. He's the only drummer I'll let play so far, except you, David. But Brain can play so soft. He's got so much control that on Derek's album, we actually let him stay in the same room. And there's times when he's just with a brush, he's hitting the side of a lamppost. I mean, it's brilliant. It's just brilliant, the space that he leaves and the control he's got. And we have a great time. And John R. Burr, another Blue Coast. Well, everybody's a Blue Coast artist. You show up here, you're a Blue Coast artist.
Well, it's, you and I have gone to a few NAMMs together, right? And there's a young lady that I met who is a friend of mine's roommate, BB. You remember her?
BB. Oh, wait a minute.
Yep. The young lady that sang, and she is so good. And as soon as I heard her for the first time, and I went, I have got to introduce you to my friend Cookie. So I take her over there to Cookie, and Cookie's, I think, at the Tascam booth at that point. And I leave for 10 minutes. I walk back. They're both crying together. Oh, Mental Music is so much awesome. I was thinking, I knew you guys were going to get along just, swimmingly.
Oh, I have pictures of her crying. She was a total stranger, put the headphones on and just was listening. And
That's
she was
what it was.
taken by the emotion and the sound. And she just started crying. And I have a few photos of her because it was just so real.
I got the crying part. I'd forgotten about that, but I do remember that now that you mention it. Because I said Cookie records, like, she needs to record you because she can capture you. And that's when I brought her over there. Then she heard it, and then that's when she started crying. That was actually quite satisfying for me. That was nice that I had introduced you in the way that I did, and then she just got it so quickly. So, hey, if you're in the San Francisco area and you are awesome, and you need somebody to be your person, I'd have no higher recommendation. You remember there was these people called, I'd listened to somebody in Berkeley, California. Jenna, you and I were no more than 5-6 miles apart. I don't know if you remember that night. I didn't even know you were in town, or I would have come and listened to you. But a friend of mine said, hey, let's go listen to the Hogan brothers.
Oh, they're good friends of mine.
Oh my God, they are unbelievable.
We played together.
They're three brothers, and they're like super proggy, but they hit together like three brothers. And that's what I told him too. I'm going, I want to introduce you to my friend Cookie, because she can just really bring this out of you. And they don't have really, I don't think, any albums. You need to get them together, Jenna. And then I put something on the net. I put something on Facebook or something, and Jenna went, you're in Berkeley, I'm in North Berkeley. Are you kidding me? And for some reason we couldn't get together, but it was really neat that we were, in such close proximity.
Yeah, we've played together I've played independently with them and all three together.
Oh, they're all crazy good. So folks, before we sign out, what have I left out? What would any of you guys like to finish up with that we haven't talked about?
Oh, I can't wait to have both Jenna and Fiona back at the studio together. And David, come out. Let's do a live stream for Qobuz. There you go.
I'd love to do something like that. Cookie, as always, you remain so near and dear to my heart. I love our conversations, and they don't happen quite as often as I would like, but they happen a lot more than you would typically think. So yeah, everybody, I think Neetha has taken over the production. So Neetha, thank you. And yeah, you guys check out the Blue Coast playlist. I'd forgotten all about this. I should have mentioned it earlier. Cookie just put together a playlist that's got quite a few of her, not even close to all of them, but quite a few of her albums that she's recorded over the years. So take a look at it. I want to get Cookie to continue to add to that. But yeah, it's a really, really neat list. Oh, and by the way, the Tony Futuro that I was talking to you guys about, that one is on there. It was called Raleigh and Spencer. And you've got some Jenna and some Fiona cuts on there as well.
Yeah, there's definitely on the playlist.
Thank you.
I've got them all.
So if you haven't heard these ladies, you've missed it, but it's not too late. They've still got great stuff on Qobuz, and they're going to continue to have more stuff on Qobuz. Like I say, if you If
Yeah.
you are of that ilk, I know I am, stop by Blue Coast and buy some of their records. It really helps the artists out. It helps Cookie out. And, you know, whatever we can do, right? Let's support our artists and our recording engineers and our studios. There's bloody few studios out there anymore. And you know, Cookie's got one that is just, you know, you should call it Red Heart instead of Blue Coast, because it is all heart. And I really appreciate what you do, Cookie.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having us on, David. We really appreciate everything that you do for us.
Hey, listen, my pleasure. I'm telling you, it truly is. Fiona, so nice to finally get to meet you in person.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Jenna, you are lovely. It's always great to see you. Keep in touch, and you know, I'll be seeing you guys when we come out there.
Thank you, and all three of you. I'm just so Fiona, I miss you. Cookie, I feel like, you know, it's just been a couple weeks, but it's been, you know, a long time for all of us to be together in the same space. So let's do it again. Thank you very much, David.
Take care, everybody. Nice being with you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.